Hello everyone, George here. I'm joined by Sammy James following Fulham's 2-2 home draw to Bournemouth. I think the Cherries will be the ones leaving slightly happier today in this festive matchup. Sammy, just talk me through how you're feeling after that late goal. How many points are we going to concede from winning positions this season? It's a tale that we're becoming fairly familiar with this season, don't you think?
Yeah, well, we're up to 19 points now, dropped from winning positions. Not that I'm keeping count, but look, I think ultimately today is a good point. Like, apart from the fact that we conceded in the 90th minute, and obviously that's disappointing, I think you look at that Bournemouth team today, they were really, really well organised. I thought that they played some beautiful stuff. They pressed us incredibly, and I think had we won that game, I think we'd have come out of it thinking, cool, we had to really work for that today. So on balance, a point is fine. I think that they're a team that will go away to a lot of teams and get 3 points, so it's all right. But I guess I just feel like a bit sick of saying it. We said it after Liverpool, we've said it so many times this season that it's a good point. Eventually we have to start trying to get all 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first half Bournemouth had the better chance. They had the control of the game, it seemed, and when Raul put in from the corner, we were thinking, okay, this is a really good position to be in, one that I feel like on balance we maybe were a little lucky to. But then I want to talk about the red card, or the non-red card, that challenge from Christie. So the referee chose to give it as a yellow, and it wasn't a yellow. I'm sorry, there was no way that was a yellow card, and it did go to VAR, and you're thinking, oh good, it's going to get overturned now, just as Tom Kearney's did against Tottenham, and then it just didn't. And I can't see on what planet his boot was off the ground. It was a horrible challenge, and I think it's just got to go down as a bad decision. Do you agree? We just looked at when we were in the queue to get a drink here at the Craft Beer Company. Wonderful place to get a pint if you're coming to or from Hammersmith before the game. I've gone for the London Black today. What did you go for?
It's called a Brulo. I'm still drinking non-alcoholic beer at the moment, and I got weird hate in the comments last time I said that. But anyway, they've got a good range of non-alcoholic. So if you also on the non-alkies, I think there's now 3 different non-alcoholic beers here, including a stout, which I'm going to try next time. But yeah, the Brulo's good.
Yeah, London Pride. Very, very good in the Guinness shortage, as there is at the minute. So, yeah, good place to get it.
The Brulo is good. The decision is not.
Yeah. Let's go back to the decision. We watched it back because in the sort of in the moment of the game, things happen in a flash, whatever. But in the cold light of the analysis and the replay, it was a red card.
It is, and I can understand the referee in real time not being 100% sure. It was one of those challenges that happened it was so quick. I barely saw it from the stands. All I saw was just 2 bodies coming together, and I was pretty sure that Robinson came off the worst. I don't really understand how a VAR official can't look at that and go, it's a red card, particularly when you look at the threshold. I think about Kearney's against Tottenham, which was yes, it was a red card, but it was pretty. It
was clumsy. There was no malice in there. He slipped.
Yeah.
It was a clumsy tackle, and you could tell by Kenny's reaction immediately after that. It was like, I didn't mean that. Yeah. It was a mistake. He didn't go in with any intent. It wasn't a nasty challenge. Whereas I feel like today's Christie challenge was a little bit nastier.
I think he was out of control.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me, and I was expecting it to go to the monitor, and he looked at it and go, yeah, sorry mate, no yellow. Red cards, and he just never came. And I think, look, sometimes actually going down to 10 men, I bet Bournemouth would probably have been pretty organised, but actually the fact that we'd have just scored as well, so we were 1-0 up at that point, I think that they really pressed hard in the first half, and I think they would have been disappointed not to be going into the break at the lead. So I think that kind of double whammy of us being 1-0 up and them having a red card would have really played into Fulham's hands, and I think, it sounds obvious to say it would have made it a much easier game, but I think from there it's really Fulham's to lose, and I think we've been done. I think we've been done a little bit today, and I don't see much difference between that and Kamada's red card that Crystal Palace got against us as well. It was high, out of control, up the leg. I don't understand how VAR can't see it. I can understand how the referee in the heat of the moment, if there wasn't VAR, how maybe he's like, don't know mate, it's really quick. But what's the point? What's the point of having them there if not for moments like this?
Yeah. To really rub salt into the wounds as well, there was a challenge from Christie after Tom Kearney came on where TC was through on goal. He shrugged off 2 or 3 really good challenges, great strength and skill from TC, and then Christie just clattered him as he was on the break. And it's just like how is that not a second yellow? Given that at that point in the game it wouldn't have had as much of an impact, but it's still, regardless, I think the officiating today was awful, and I think Marco Silva's going to be given both barrels, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him with a touchline ban come the next game given his comments. But I do think that in this season we've gone on at length about the amount of points that we've dropped from winning positions, but it's these, to quote our former manager, fine margins that we come back and we think if we miss out on a Conference League spot by 2 points or 1 point here and there, we'll be looking back at this and think, oh, what if I feel like we just didn't get the luck today.
No, we didn't. I mean, I think that we did really well, though, to kind of wrestle back momentum at several points today. Like, Bournemouth really, they go from the off, don't they? I mean, it's such an impressive team. And I think if we are fighting for a Conference League or a European spot, I think it will be them. Obviously, I think it will be Forest, who seem to be running away with it right now. But I think what Fulham did well today was at various points in the game, I think first 30 minutes was definitely more Bournemouth, but I think from about 30 minutes on, actually, Fulham started to gain a bit of control, a bit of momentum, and also were quite clinical with the chances we took. It was really well. It was a great header from Jimenez, good cross from Pereira for the corner, and also like Harry Wilson's goal was really well taken. And that was another point where Bournemouth equalised. You think at that point, oh God, are Bournemouth going to go score again? Actually, no, we managed to wrestle back that momentum at several points today, which I think we have to be applauded for. I think, with the formation, we're still finding our feet, aren't we? Like, you can tell that at moments today, it's good. It's a good formation. It's a good tactic. It obviously paid off incredibly against Chelsea. And at moments today, you feel like it really gets the best out of Robinson in particular. My God, he looks like a world beater in this formation. Yeah. But you saw, I think, maybe the Diop pass at the end, and also there was just a few missed passes just generally throughout the match where I think we thought we were making the channel run, and actually we just underhit it, overhit it. I think we're still finding our feet with this formation, and as much as I think that it's very good, it's very efficient, like, we've had to learn it in basically a week, like how to play this way. It's so different, and I think players like Anderson have struggled a bit today as well, because that's not a familiar role for him. But I think Marco deserves praise. This is the kind of game that would have been very, very easy to lose. We had to battle, we had to fight, I think, in order to gain the point today, and we're very unlucky not to get all 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just to your point on the 5 at the back, or whatever you want to call it, formation. Yeah. I mean, I personally am all for it. I love it. I think it's exciting. I think that most teams, when you see them line up with 5 at the back, you think, okay, they're sitting back, they're setting up defensively. Whereas with this derivative that Marco's found, I would say it's more attacking, because obviously you've got Castagna and Robinson who play very, very high up, and you've got 3 incredibly competent in the way that they're playing at the moment, centre backs that can move forward into the pockets of space that are made by the fact that the midfield and the opposition defenders are sort of like drawn out wide by the overlaps that we've got, that they can maraud forward. So you've got a position where you've got the likes of Calvin Bassey just all of a sudden just like making this breakaway run, or we saw it with Diop as well, and it's incredibly exciting to watch, and it can work. But then on the flip side, all it takes is that one missed pass and you're all of a sudden incredibly exposed, and unfortunately that was kind of our undoing for both of the goals, really. Yeah,
I'd be really excited to see when Sander Berge returns to fitness, if he can really fit, if him and Lukic can work together in this system, then I think you've got something really special. Because as I say, I think this system really suits, I mean, Diop, he was brilliant today. Apart from that one mistake, we've always said this about Issa Diop, and we've been saying for probably like the 6-7 games since he came in, since Anderson picked up that injury, we've said, okay, he's been absolutely fantastic. The mistakes seem to have dropped out. He made one today. It's just such a shame, isn't it, that mistake, he didn't pass it to a player that was through on goal. He made a misplaced pass. We got ruthlessly punished for it, and therefore that mistake gets exaggerated a huge amount. I think, though, it really suits, I mean, Bassey as well. He just, and as you say, it's kind of a 5 at the back, but then I think in possession it's like a 4 at the back. It's very fluid. It's what...
It's total football.
Basically, we have conquered football. We have rewritten the rules. No, I'm pretty sure that like Arsenal and stuff have been playing like this for quite a long time. It's like sometimes it's a 4, sometimes it's a 5. It does seem to suit the players we have, and particularly seems to suit Castagna, which is very interesting. I wonder how effective this would be with Kenny. I don't know. Maybe it would be all right, but Castagna seemed to really pop up in great places today as well. So I don't know if I'm interested to see when more players return from to fitness, when the likes of Smith Rowe are back in contention and when Burge is back in contention and suddenly you've got more midfielders again. Is this something we're going to use tactically? Because I really did feel, when I saw it against Chelsea, I really felt like, well, this is just necessity because of the players that we have. We've got 3 centre-backs, but we've got no midfielders kind of thing. I'm fascinated. I think it's another tool for Marco's Arsenal. I think he can look at teams, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and now occasionally sometimes play the 4, sometimes play the 5. And that's going to really bamboozle teams because it's a completely different system, and you don't know what Fulham is going to turn up. That makes us less predictable. I think it's an advantage, but I don't know, and we'll never know really, unless maybe Marco tells us, whether he did this just because of the players available, or actually was it a bit of tactical genius that him and Lemonakis came up with one Friday night down the pub.
This way of setting your team up only works if you've got an entire squad of players who are playing for each other, playing for their position most importantly. Because if you've got players who are out of form and not really out of place and disjointed and out of sorts, you can't just at the drop of a hat just drop this completely random 5 in the back formation and expect for everything to work. It's got, and you saw, I think it was testament to this was Harry Wilson speaking to the Amazon press after the Chelsea win, and he was just talking about how he's just fighting for his position, and he's and everyone is playing really, really well, and it's given Marcus Silva a very nice kind of problem of that, where do I fit all of these players who are in really, really good form, all playing for each other, and how do I make cultivate a system which plays to the players that are playing so well. It's exciting, and I'm going to be very intrigued to see how we set up against for our next game, which is Ipswich. Yeah, of course. Let's talk about the goals. We haven't even come on to them yet. Raul Jimenez, goal from a corner. We rarely see that.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful delivery, beautiful header. I don't think there's much more to see. You can see what it meant to Raul as well. He doesn't get that many with his head, although it's starting to creep in a little bit more. But I mean, wonderful goal.
One thing that I thought was interesting about Raul's goal was Andreas' celebration. That really meant a lot to him, because I think his corner record has been knocked this season. He takes so many corners, and we have had a goal from a corner. We had the Matt O'Reilly kind of weird own goal, but it's not really. I don't think that was really what Andreas dreams of at night, it going in off an opposition player's backside. I think he'd been waiting for his cross off a Fulham player in the goal. Raul has actually done that a lot this season. He should have scored more goals with that exact same run to the front post. He's got his head on it quite a few times and it's not gone in. I think there's probably 2 or 3 occasions where we can look back at the season and say that Raul should have scored. So it's finally nice for him to get one. And yeah, our strikers at the moment, they're not perfect. It's been well documented. It's been talked about a lot. But our strikers have a rate of 1 in 2. If you combine Muniz and Jimenez, I still believe we need a striker ultimately. But if you had one striker that had 1 goal every 2 games, you would say that's a pretty good record. Between them, this kind of chopping and changing seems to be kind of working in some sort of ways. They're playing for their positions as well, akin to what you just said a minute ago. So for now, it's not perfect, but we're just about getting enough goals as we should be out of our strikers.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I think ultimately we're going to look back at this game and think that it was a fair point between 2 very strong sides, and our last game of the year. Just how do you look back upon this this last kind of this opening half of the season, for example, because we've had so many famous results that we'll be talking about for years to come already, and it kind of feels like no matter what happens in the second half, we've already kind of banked this sort of vintage season. Yeah. But given what you've seen so far, Sammy, looking into the second half, looking into 2025, how do you see the next second half of the season panning out?
Well, look at the basic facts. Halfway through the season now, played everyone, I believe. 29 points. Should be 31, obviously, but 29. That's on. We're on for a high 50s finish. That generally gets you well into the top half and gets you knocking on the door of those European places. So I think job done so far, so good. I think, as we've mentioned, we've dropped a lot of points from winning positions. We should have more points. That's not me being negative nanny. That's facts. We should have not 19 more points. That would be ridiculous. But we should probably have 8 to 10 more points. We should be on as many points as Nottingham Forest right now, who are storming. They've put together a run of wins that we haven't managed to do. So that's my hope for 2025 is actually, and you look at the next few games, Ipswich at home, West Ham away, Leicester away. No reason why Fulham shouldn't be getting 7 points from that. No real reason why we shouldn't be getting 9. Fulham have to at some point go and do what Forest have done and actually put together a little run of results. But we're steady. We're not losing many games. That's what 1 in 12 defeat. It's 1 defeat in 12. So I think everything's very, very rosy in the Garden of Fulham. It's just we maybe just need to put a bit of consistency together, get that run of results, and then I think we'll push up the table and we'll get closer to those European positions. But just more on your point, you think now is last game of 2024, like what a fucking year. Like, not only what the results that we've had this season, obviously I don't think anything will ever top Boxing Day, but you've had the Brentford win, you've had the win at Man United, you've had the Carabao Cup semi-final and going 1-0 up at Anfield and the elation that we felt kind of in that moment there. We've had some brilliant results this season, both home and away. If we are topping 2024, then 2025 is going to be very special.
My prediction is exactly that. I think we're going to go from strength to strength. I think Marcus has laid down this new improved blueprint that I think we're going to build on, and I think the squad is understanding each other more. We're seeing with our performances they just incrementally keep getting better and better, and I think once we sort of iron out these few little mistakes here and there and build that consistency, I think the sky is genuinely the limit. And I think on that note we'll end this quick take. Thank you everyone who's watched, listened, supported us throughout this year. Happy New Year to you and all your families, and bring on 2025 for Fulham.
Up the Whites.
Up the Whites.
Up the Whites.